Carrie Underwood did not slash the tires of her ex-boyfriend because he was cheating on her.
Johnny Cash talks about shooting someone and other forms of country music and others, but they're not being prosecuted.
Bob Marley once wrote the song, I Shot the Sheriff. Well, no one's going to introduce that song into evidence to suggest that he really shot a sheriff someplace.
Future had an interview, because he talked about a lot of drugs in the music. And he got on the interview and he's like, I don't even do drugs.
There's a growing battle underway to decriminalize freedom of expression in this country, especially when it comes to rap music. Rap lyrics have been used in courtrooms and they are taken as statements of fact, and artists are facing prosecution for it. But things have recently changed in California. Tonight, as our Devin Truby explains, the Golden State is paving a new path, putting protections in place.
People are facing some serious situations from the music that they do.
When you're a creator and when you're making something, you're not doing it to influence someone to do something wrong.
Sacramento singer-songwriters Jeremy Kent, known as Jay Kent, and Leshon, they have noticed a shift since the Decriminalizing Artistic Expression Act, signed by the governor in September, became law.
Now that they know that they have permission to really say that and not have someone arrest you or, for you to be prosecuted in that situation, I think that now people are definitely getting more creative.
The Decriminalizing Artistic Expression Act was introduced by California Assemblymember Reginald Byron Jones Sr.
I'm not, you probably can tell, I'm not a big fan of rap.
But to address California's incarceration rate of African Americans, Joyce Sawyer began examining which laws were used by district attorneys to target people of color.
But I've listened to other forms of genre. Johnny Cash talks about shooting someone and other forms of country music and others, but they're not being prosecuted. But they were going after African Americans more than anywhere else.
We know that since the 1990s, there's been hundreds of documented cases where this has happened.
The Recording Academy, the group that oversees the Grammys, has taken notice, launching a nationwide campaign for more states to take action like California.
You guys don't have campaigns going for pop or rock lyrics to protect them when they talk about drugs, sex, different things like that. So why is it that rap artists and their lyrics are singled out as the only genre on trial right now?
And we do think that there is an implicit racial bias attached to that. We've seen studies where you could take one set of lyrics, and if somebody thinks they are perhaps country music lyrics or lyrics from a different kind of genre, and they compare them to the same set of lyrics, but a different set of people are told they're rap lyrics, they're perceived very differently.
J. Scott Smith, who's been practicing law for 33 years, says that bias has found its way to courtrooms.
I think the judges just don't understand rap music. I grew up in an era where it was first becoming popular. I don't pretend to really, understand fully what's behind it. So you have a lot of judges who, even older than I am, who are not familiar with the genre, and who read more into it than is justified. Bob Marley once wrote the song, I Shot the Sheriff. Well, no one's going to introduce that song into evidence to suggest that he really shot a sheriff someplace.
Right now in Atlanta, jury selection is underway for the trial of rapper Young Thug. He pleaded not guilty to 8 counts, which all started with a racketeering influenced and corrupt organization, or RICO charge. According to ABC, some of the lyrics the prosecution plans to use are from his hit song, Anybody.
I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with that body.
The lyrics say, I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with that body. The law in California argues rap lyrics are a First Amendment rights issue. The law protects more than just lyrics, but artistic expression, and from evidence injecting racial bias into the proceedings.
We're not throwing out the lyrics. The lyrics can be heard with the judge and the 2 attorneys out of the sight of the jury, so they're not compromised in any way. Then they present their facts to the judge. If the judge decides that it is admissible, then it can be presented by the DA to the jury. If it's inadmissible, then it's thrown out.
While there have been attempts to ban the use of lyrics, attorneys, assembly members, and the Recording Academy agree it's too extreme and won't pass.
Removing the bias from the consideration is going to help protect creators and artists, because we're not saying that there might never be an instance where it's appropriate to look at this.
But it's a constant battle producers outside of California continue to face. Domingo Padilla has been producing for 35 years, everyone from Eminem to Shaquille O'Neal. He's working with resources the Recording Academy has provided for a similar bill to be sponsored in Pennsylvania.
Every other state should really look at California and understand why California passed it, because they respect the rights of, freedom of speech. So, but also artists should also think a lot wiser.
As for Sacramento artists and songwriters Jay Kent and Leshon, the California law is allowing them to be more creative as they work on music about the convicted Sacramento serial killer Dorothea Helen Puente.
Obviously, we're not killers. We don't do that stuff.
I don't want this to be held against me, especially if it's about a violent situation or activities that might not necessarily be legal.
Devin with us now. And Devin, we actually saw this law being used in the courtroom. Tell everyone a little bit about that case.
Absolutely. So yeah, California Court of Appeals in the 4th District has just ruled to reverse a first-degree murder charge. And I have the opinion right here from the court. And Alex, I want to read you something that I thought was just so powerful from this opinion. Is that we conclude the admission of the rap video without the new safeguard, which is what we're talking about, was prejudicial. That is the whole point of this new law and the conversation, and all ready for it to be in use with a potential retrial in just a few short months.
Yeah, and the case that really sticks out to me is actually Snoop Dogg. I mean, he was charged with murder back in 1993 for and they played his song "Murder Was the Case" in the courtroom.
I think that sticks out for a lot of people, and we showed you him in the video as well. But the reason this is all kind of back in the mainstream in the conversation is for that artist, McKinley or Mac Phipps, who we showed in the video as well, serving 21 years, only to be granted clemency just in June and be freed and to go back into music right now, when he says he never committed that crime, and witnesses have even recanted their statements.
And this has turned into a little bit of a movement because other states are kind of looking at what California is doing, right?
Right, and the Recording Academy, they are not going to drop this. They're going to move forward with that campaign and continue to provide information to people in the industry, like you saw with Padilla, to talk to their assembly members in their state, to get this in more states with similar bills. And we saw one presented in New York last year. That'll continue to be worked towards. And the Recording Academy, they're also monitoring legislation in Louisiana, Missouri, Maryland, and on that federal level, we also have Restoring Artistic Protection, stands for RAP, the RAP Act. So we'll see where that goes in Congress.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more about this, ABC Studios recently released a documentary on this very topic. You can catch Rap Trap Hip Hop on Trial. It is streaming on Hulu right now.